This is 44-year-old Wilma Schwartz. After dropping her son at school, she disappeared without a trace. 5 days later, her body was found 24 miles away in a remote yard by a crew of construction workers. The mystery only deepened when investigators located her missing car. They found a cabin soaked in blood and a spent 9mm shell casing. To find the killer, detectives would have to untangle a web of fake plates and security tapes that led to a betrayal no one saw coming. March 14th, 2016, Antwerp, Ohio. 911 received a call from construction workers who just clocked in for a shift at a house. But before they could begin, they stumbled upon something that stopped them in their tracks.
We're actually tearing down a garage today, and there's a dead man in the yard.
The first responding officers got there a few minutes later, and as soon as they entered the scene, they knew this case was far more complicated than it first appeared. For starters, the victim wasn't a man, but a woman, and she was not supposed to be here.
She has a little bit of blood from over here. Could be car accident. You have hit somebody. She looks. She's older than me. What? Do you have gloves?
Yeah. I don't want to move her though.
No, I was just gonna pull her shirt off her. There is a coat around the corner.
Look at her finger.
Yeah.
You see her finger, Shane? It's like shot through.
It looks like she's a little older.
On the 11th?
There was a clear gunshot wound to the head and another through her finger, but because it had rained all weekend, her body was difficult to identify. Just by looking at her, the officers couldn't tell if the woman was older or a teenager. Since they were still collecting the initial evidence, they also couldn't move the body very much. Despite that, they still noticed something strange about the way she was found.
It looks like her body, her coat could have been blown around the corner maybe. It looked like it was laid there. The way her pants are coming off, she was obviously drugged from a car or something over that way.
And then turned around?
But with her, no, look at her hands, the way her hands are. Somebody drug her away from the vehicle. Say the vehicle.
Yeah, but the coat or her shirt and stuff's up as if she was drugged this way.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
It does kind of look like her pants were pulled up.
If your hands
but look
are pulled up, your shirt's going to come off, your pants are going to come down because your knees are dragged. And your arms get
Or if you drag this way, your arms are going to go up in front of you. You know what I mean? And your shirt's going to drag up. You should be able to tell from the ground underneath her. You know, if the grass is laying, which way the grass is laying. Yeah.
The victim's arms were stretched above her head, and with the way her clothes were positioned, it was clear that she was dragged into the spot she was found in after she was already dead. A gunshot wound to the head would usually leave a lot of blood near the body, but that wasn't the case here, leading officers to believe she wasn't killed at this location. Whoever killed her did so in another location and then dumped the body here, thinking the area was so remote that no one would find her. But the construction workers did. But with that, they ended up being the witnesses and the first suspects.
He said there's a sign that she's in the house. So.
Yeah, they said they left between 1 and 2 on the 11th. Somewhere in there.
Well, he's saying that was the 6th. His pictures were all taken the 6th, and then he emailed them to the company, and then the company updated the file on the 11th. So he thinks it was actually the 6th there or less. But we get the code in the house.
I still don't think she's been here more than
No, it's just the rain. Just
3-4 days.
It's like taking a bath. Your skin's, you know what I mean?
And it rained for what?
At least.
So with this, like I was saying, this company I work for, they just send me all these homes I work on, have a white sticker in the windows like that.
Oh yeah,
and they're all foreclosed. So this house has been empty
for a while. Yeah, we drive by occasionally, but couldn't tell last time we bought it for sure.
They just sent me the job. I was here. I boarded up that garage door, the little man door. I boarded up that door. And I boarded up that window. Somebody busted that window out.
So when were you here previously?
I can tell you exactly.
Okay. Hey Shane, 4 or 5 days max. It looks like.
Exactly. As soon as I get this loaded up, see, here's who I work for. Properties, and I can come in here and I can log in because I'm a contractor for them. And it could have been 6 days. I'm not sure.
That's fine.
I know it was last week. So. Who
all then came with you today?
He's my dad, and those other 2 guys are my cousins.
If you could say names, that'd be great.
Michael Wireman, Jason Wireman, and Joe Wireman.
Michael, Jason, and Joe?
Yep.
And that was the only time you'd ever been to the property before was when you boarded up the door?
I've been here a couple times.
Been here a couple times? Okay.
This would have been my third time.
Okay. Who all would have come with you the last time?
My dad, Michael Wireman, and Jason.
Okay.
3/11.
That's 3 days ago. Hey, Shane. They were here on the 11th and boarded up the garage. Do you know what time you would have left?
What time did we get here to board that garage?
Would you have texted anybody to let them know it was done or anything? Like when you got home or when you left the property? Or
what I do is, like, when I get done with this job, I got to submit the pictures.
Okay.
And then I send them to them. And then I go home and I got to update the order I updated from my house. So
would you have done that with the garage photos?
I send them, but they're not time stamped.
Usually, if you look at the file, they can tell you the properties. Did you take the photos with this?
Yeah, but they're already sent in.
But aren't they saved in your gallery? Like if you go to your pictures, are they saved in there yet?
The officer was able to look at the metadata from the pictures the worker had taken on his last day here 3 days prior and confirmed that they had left the location. But even with that confirmed, the officer still had to rule out the possibility that he had something to do with the body that was found.
He's going to have you do a DNA sample for us real quick. Okay. It's just a couple Q-tips. You wipe on inside your cheeks.
I don't like Pepsi, but I'll do it.
Well, just in case. Yeah. They find something else, somebody took a leak or something. We want to make sure who's here.
Swap the right cheek out of your mouth. Just hold that and let that dry for a minute.
Right in towards the bottom of your jaw. Like right in here. Kind of go back and forth a few times. That's good. And then do the other one with the other side. If you can hold them both, that keeps us from touching them. Then if you just hold them for a few seconds while they dry, then we'll have them drop them in the envelope.
While the DNA sample would help rule him out, the crew consisted of 5 people, and they were all separated so officers could take their statements individually and make sure they all lined up.
What's your name, bud?
Jason.
Jason.
Yeah.
I know I got a Bobby, a Michael, and Jason, and something else, but I forgot.
Last time we was here, my brother, he's the one wearing the blue sweatshirt. He wasn't here with us. He just helps us out. Like whenever we have big jobs like this,
gotcha.
We'll have him help us. But other than that, it was just me, my cousin Bobby, and my uncle Mike. Right. That was the only ones here that day we was last here.
Okay. And do you remember what day you was here last?
I'm thinking it was about 5 days ago, between 5 and 6 days ago.
5, 6 days ago?
Yeah.
You remember what day of the week it was?
It was through a weekday. We just been doing so many jobs lately.
I understand.
Right there is kind of a path in the grass.
Kind of comes
to around the back. See that? Kind of see where it's mushed.
It's got to be an Indiana situation.
I'm telling you, they found her in Indiana and brought her here.
Call the FBI.
There you go. They'll solve everything.
We're looking into the possibility of any missing people from Indiana. We're working on that right now. These workers here, we got all their names. They winterize houses, and they came here today to tear this garage down, start tearing it down. And they were here on the 6th, which they have a log in there of when they were here last to verify when they were here last. And she wasn't here, obviously.
The officers were hoping to find some sort of identification on her, but they didn't. So the next step was to gather as much information about her as possible and send it to nearby counties, hoping to identify the victim and get closer to whoever did this to her.
Yeah, I'd say thin. Probably around blondish hair, short. I would say anywhere from 5 foot to 5'4". If she's at 5'4", she's pushing it. They got a 5'2" blonde hair, 120 pounder. Yeah. City. Well, she's been out in the rain, so her skin's, and it looks like she was drugged here. She's got a.
Look at this finger.
Yeah, we seen that. Her one index finger looks like it's been shot through.
Let's try to leave her as close as her.
If we can.
Let's pull her straight back. I don't know the doctor.
You don't have a last known clothing description, do you?
They're coming from probably. He said one's in Allen County, the other one he sent us over by Bowling Green, so they're at least an hour away. I'm sure you got an office full of people.
What's going to be better though? I'm okay with PCI coming.
If I think if you pull her just enough where we can get a picture of her, they've got a missing juvenile, or is she a juvenile or an adult?
17.
So they got a missing juvenile, fits her physical description, and maybe we can see enough of her to get a start.
Just turned 18. Just turned 18 yesterday. This isn't 17. This is probably 50s.
She looks really bone thinny, bone skinny.
Yeah, she's real thin, drugged. Yep.
Just when the officers were starting to lose hope, they received a call.
I just talked to a Fort Wayne detective from missing persons.
Yeah, the
They had a 17-year-old girl missing that just turned 18 today, but that's not her. They said they had a 5'1", blonde-haired woman. She's 44, but looks older.
This was the woman they were looking for, 44-year-old Wilma A. Schwartz. Wilma had been reported missing on March 9th after she failed to pick up her 6-year-old son from school in Fort Wayne, about 24 miles from the spot in Antwerp where her body was found. The construction workers were sure she wasn't there on March 11th. So if Wilma was killed shortly after going missing, the killer kept her body for at least 3 days before dumping it at the property. She was last seen alive when she dropped her son off in her red Pontiac Sunfire, and the car was missing too. But tracking it down proved to be difficult because the plates on it were fake. So, the Paulding County Sheriff's Office issued a press release asking the locals to keep a lookout for the vehicle, and that move ended up being the key to solving the case. On March 16, 2016, Wilma Schwartz's red Pontiac Sunfire was spotted in Huntington County, Indiana, near Markle, in a business parking lot by US 224 and Route 3. The second officers opened the vehicle door. They saw that the passenger seat was drenched in blood. While collecting evidence, they found a 9mm shell casing in the vehicle, along with cleaning supplies. From the state of this car, it was clear Wilma had died here. With the blood spatter and the location of the casing, along with the bullet hole in Wilma's finger and her head, the detectives were able to reconstruct what may have happened. Wilma was sitting in the passenger seat of her car when she was shot. In her last moments, she tried to shield her face, but it wasn't enough. The bullet went through her hand and into her head, ending her life instantly. But when the detectives went through the security footage, they realized Wilma didn't drive it there. On March 10th, roughly 24 hours after Wilma went missing, the car arrived at the parking lot and pulled up next to a Dodge Durango. Wilma's ex-boyfriend, Daniel Zerby Sr., exited the Sunfire, and his brother, Leroy Zerby, came out of the Durango. They went inside the store and bought snacks before moving the car to another parking spot to leave in the Durango. But as the men were leaving, the detectives realized they were not alone. There was a third person with them, a woman, Wilma's friend, Lisa King. All three of them entered the Durango and left the car in the parking lot, where it stayed until the detectives found it. While the detectives worked on tracking them down, Daniel's son was already in Wells County Jail, making him the perfect person to give them background on the victim and the people now tied to the case before detectives ever sat down with them.
You really didn't tell us about how much time your dad had been here.
Well, I didn't know how long, if he stayed or if he went back and came back.
Okay, who did he come back to Tennessee with?
First time was this guy in the church at that time. I don't know if they even left and went back now, just because what I heard from my lady and stuff, she was from the somewhere in Leroy. But, you know what I mean? Not you can't really go off what they say, you know what I mean?
Would he have came back with Lisa?
Yeah, that time, Lisa was there. She could have been there the whole time.
This is we're talking about the time frame, what, a week before you were arrested?
About a week and a half, the most.
Did you see Lisa with him during that time frame?
Yeah.
And Lisa was living with your dad down there?
I don't know. She was up here. She was at
Mitchell Herrick's?
Yeah.
Okay. The night you got clipped, your dad and Lisa were both there, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. I don't know her last name. She used to be married to my father. I didn't think of her last name.
Okay. You know her as Lisa?
Okay.
But she was married to your Uncle Leroy?
Before. Yeah.
How long before? Years?
10 years.
10 years?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay.
But this is where the situation with Lisa and Daniel Sr. gets more complicated.
Her and your dad became a couple?
Yeah.
Good.
As far as I know.
Do you know how long they've been a couple?
Not really. Like,
Months, years?
not probably not. Just out of 3 of us. Probably not years. About 2 months.
So probably since Dad's been out of prison?
Dad's on parole, right?
Yeah, so Fort Wayne.
Out of Indiana.
Yeah.
Then he got a transfer to Tennessee. Is that right?
Yeah. That was from Adams County, I think it was, Indiana.
Yeah, he was in Adams County.
How long did he stay in prison? How long was he there?
Somewhere around there. Not too long.
Was
He
that
jammed up on initially.
Who?
Your dad. What did he go to prison for? From around here. What the local.
it was Something about meth or something? Making meth?
You know?
Yeah, it was about math as far as I'm pretty sure.
You talk to your dad quite a bit, don't you?
Not really. I'm more hearsay, like I hear from my uncles and stuff, but
Uncle, which uncle?
Leroy,
Leroy talks to your dad more.
probably more than I do. It's just a little more, because they always fight and stuff, you know what I mean? Family feud and stuff.
I can imagine being with his ex and stuff. That probably didn't go over well. But
He didn't.
I didn't think so. You could kind of tell, but I don't know if it was. He didn't seem like it bothered him. Probably, you know what I mean? Like that, so.
Even though Lisa was Daniel Sr.'s former sister-in-law, the two began a relationship. And somehow, Daniel's brother Leroy was completely fine with it.
Okay, you haven't talked to him on the phone here?
No,
Nothing?
I talked to my pops. No, I didn't talk to my pops.
Okay, so you got arrested right at the end of January, 1st of February, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you haven't talked to him since February 1st.
I've not talked to my father.
Okay.
Just here to say.
Daniel, I've been straight with him. Talk with each other, and you know that we can check every phone call.
Yeah, I swear I ain't talked to him.
We can check, we're going to check.
I know you are, but I swear, go ahead.
We've been talking to her.
Just my old lady.
That's it?
That's it.
Does she know anything about this? She told you anything about
She said that one was found dead in Harlem, Ohio. I said it was on the news.
She know anything else about it?
So she says, I mean, there's hearsay, you know, from people thinking, she's thinking my dad did it, this, that. If he did, he's for that, because she ain't deserve it.
You knew Wilma
Yeah, she raised me since I was 11.
since you were 11. How old are you now?
24.
Wilma had been around for most of Daniel Jr.'s life, and he saw her like a second mother, which is why he was willing to help put her killer behind bars, even if that meant helping build a case against his own father. But what makes this whole situation even worse is that Wilma saw it coming.
Jessica told me that she texted Summer and said that she was scared for her life.
That Wilma texted Summer?
Yeah, because my old lady told me that.
She said, why?
Yeah, because my father.
Even then, she couldn't save herself in time. But according to Daniel Jr., one person would be able to fill the gaps here.
Really, the best people to talk to is his brother. You know what I mean?
Who's brother?
My dad's.
Leroy?
Yeah, he's the best person to talk to. He knows more than I would, you know what I mean? Just because, like, I mean, not saying he would, but if anybody knew anything, like, about, you know.
Where's he live at?
Here in town, by Lodge Park.
As one team of detectives went to bring Leroy in, another learned Lisa had been arrested in Illinois and was sitting in the Cook County Jail. And even after being told there was video evidence showing her getting out of Wilma's car after the murder, she still tried to act oblivious. What she didn't know was that detectives already had physical evidence placing her in the middle of it.
We talked to you several times. Well, up to Chicago to talk to you. Up there, you had made mention that you had a strong suspicion that something bad had happened to Wilma, but you didn't know exactly or wasn't sure. Back when you told us that, what made you think or had that strong suspicion that there was something wrong?
Well, number one, just you feel it. You feel it in your head. And after being through what I've been through for like a month and a half with both of them, it just wasn't a good situation, and the threats that have been made by them to her. And then, as you're aware of, the back of my jeans that was found, that's a sure. So, I knew it wasn't.
What size jeans do you wear?
Well, right now, no. Then I'm not exactly sure what size I wear there.
You know what size uniform they gave you when you first went in Cook County?
I was in a small. I was little because of the so I was about 120 pounds.
How tall are you?
I am 5'8".
From the scene, can you think of any reason why there'd be your DNA on Wilma's person?
No. Unless, no, there's.
Wilma was a lot smaller than you, right?
She
was like 5'2".
So she was not as tall as me, smaller stature. I know. I didn't have any clothes after the car was confiscated, and she gave me a few of the clothes to wear, jeans, and then I had some leggings.
The detective is shocked because Wilma was so tiny that they thought she was a teenager at first.
You could wear her jeans?
There was a pair that were too big for her, yes, sir.
Where are those now?
That's where those were the jeans that.
All this might seem like the detectives are just trying to body shame her, but there's a reason why they brought this up.
Well, I'm just going to make it a little bit shorter. I don't want to waste your time or Skip's or our time, okay? It's looking really bad for you because the DNA found on Wilma's person was found on the inside waistband of the pants that she was wearing. Is there any reason why that your DNA should be on the inside waistband of Wilma?
On the back.
And nowhere else?
The back of the pants, inside the waistband. Right where somebody would need to grab a body to help move it.
There's no reason why it should be there.
I'm telling you, it is. It's not really.
Well, I believe what you're saying.
I'm trying to figure out a reason, and quite frankly, it's to the point where I just don't know. I mean, you're telling us this stuff, but some of the evidence contradicts it. If the DNA is in the pants that she had on, inside, not on the outside, then that's the pants she was wearing when we found her dead. I mean, it's looking bad, you know. You see where I'm heading with that?
I see when you're talking.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk to you. I'm trying to figure out what it is that's going on that we don't know about, because I feel like there's something going on that you try to protect yourself a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what it is because we don't know yet.
No. I know there was a lot of clothes, or not a lot, but there were some clothes of hers that I had worn. You know. But I mean, it would be, if I had them on, it'd be all in there. It wouldn't just be in one specific area.
Exactly.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't understand why.
Lisa tried to stay composed, but the detectives made sure she knew she couldn't separate herself from this situation now.
So our theory is that Daniel had a hold of her arms and you helped move her by the waist. So how's your DNA in there?
Did you see her?
I wish I could.
Okay.
I couldn't live with myself. I'm just telling you, I could not live with myself. I couldn't. I'm not that type of person. And I went through a lot of crap with this man too. But I could not live with myself.
And guess what he and his defense attorney are going to say? That you did it.
Even with the risk of prison hanging over her head, Lisa still wouldn't budge.
Him being the one that's being charged or being investigated for arrest or shooting her, you were just with him. That's exactly what was said.
We have recordings.
I'd like to hear it.
I'll see if I get it.
You need that record?
Detectives spent another hour talking to Lisa, trying to get her to understand that any information she gave could help her case. And after dodging the truth for most of the interview, she finally admitted she'd been in the Sunfire.
I didn't watch the video. Did you drive to Markle or did Daniel?
I've never drove that car.
So you sat in the passenger seat,
Yes.
front seat, or the back seat?
The prince. I was sitting in the back seat of the vehicle before. You know.
When you were sitting in the front seat the day you dropped off Merkel, you didn't see any blood that was still left on the door or window?
No, I told you that I saw blood in the console, the inside of the console. I said before the little hole thing to plug in, but listen, there was 2 drops of blood there, and I asked him about that.
You didn't see it on the back of the seat or down on the seat?
No, he had, like, I know there was a bag over the seat, and there was jackets laid on the seat, but I didn't see no.
You said you asked him about that. You're talking about the couple drops of blood that you saw.
Yes, sir.
What did he tell you when you asked him about it?
He just said, like, I told him, I looked at him, I said, what is this? What's it from? And he just told me a report. That's what I'm saying. I knew, you know, it was something.
Well, you guys essentially had seen Wilma almost every daily, right?
Yes.
And you didn't wonder where she was?
I did. Yes, sir. I wondered.
You were afraid of him, though, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were afraid of him to ask him that. I think you're still afraid of him.
I am the best I can. I suffered a lot throughout this too, but not like she did. And I'm trying to be honest. I never wanted to be 43 years old and wind up like this.
There, inside that car, there was a bag. I told you it had cleaning supplies, some clothing, stuff like that. Inside the bag, there was a pair of gloves. The pair of gloves had your DNA on the inside with a little bit of Wilma's, and on the outside had a large amount of Wilma's blood with the cleaning supplies. Did you help clean the car out in any way, shape, or form?
No, sir.
Did you pick any trash up? Could you have inadvertently done any cleaning and not knowing what you were doing? Put it in a black bag.
No, I touched a lot of things in that car, but no.
What about a pair of gloves?
I don't know. He always been kept close because they've been making the meth a lot and would have me handing stuff. It could have been a possibility.
So from your knowledge, you never wore a pair of gloves?
No. I don't know how.
Your DNA and her DNA are inside a pair of gloves, inside the car that she was murdered in.
We've been cleaning the house in Fort Wayne that she was moving out of. And carrying supplies from the house in Wayndale, just back and forth we moved.
You were wearing rubber gloves while you're helping her move?
No, cleaning the house in Fort Wayne. I believe we put some, I know me and her both because we were washing stuff. But we never wore the same pair. I don't understand why.
And these gloves have her blood on the outside of them. You know what I mean? So that therefore those gloves were used to help clean that car where she was murdered, and they have your DNA and her DNA on the inside, and her blood on the outside.
That's the only thing I can think of. And I know, yeah, that'd be the only way. And I mean, there was a couple.
But she wasn't bleeding when you were cleaning the house in Wayndale, right?
No, and I don't understand that. That's the only possibility why my DNA would be on a pair of gloves.
Do you understand how important DNA looks in a jury's eyes?
I do, but I know my heart, I know the other side, whatever.
Lisa admitted to seeing blood in the car, but claimed that she had no idea how her DNA got on the inside of Wilma's jeans, or the gloves found with her blood on them. Even though she had clearly witnessed what happened, she was trying to protect Daniel by not saying anything against him. However, the people closest to him felt the opposite way. Thanks to Daniel Jr.'s information, detectives were able to get in touch with Daniel Sr.'s brother, Leroy. Since he was one of the 3 people last seen with Wilma's car, he was a suspect too. But as detectives started talking to him, it became clear Leroy may have been used as a pawn in Daniel Sr.'s plan.
Did you pick him up? Okay, Leroy, let me tell you something right now. You can be a witness, or you can be a suspect in something. You need to be completely honest with me.
I didn't know nothing about what was even going on.
Listen, Wilma's car was found in Markle. We have videotape of somebody getting out of Wilma's car where it was left and getting picked up by somebody driving a Dodge Durango. Okay, who'd you pick up? What day was that? Okay, what did they tell you? Why did they need you to pick him up from that car?
Because they needed the front tires on the front of it.
Leroy was tricked into picking them up from the parking lot so they wouldn't be seen driving Wilma's car across state lines. Once detectives realized how he fit into the timeline, Leroy was taken to the station so they could question him in more detail.
Do you know what happened to Wilma?
All knows they found her body somewhere in Ohio. Okay. We just found out about this yesterday. We don't
let me tell you this. She had a gun put in her mouth. And then you know what happened?
I don't even know.
I'm going to tell you. They backed into an abandoned property and drug her body into a yard that was high with grass and left her there to rot. Now, do you think she deserved that? Okay.
She did not deserve none of this.
And I'm telling you this because you got to think about Wilma. I just find it hard to believe. I'm serious, Leroy. I'm not trying to blame you for anything. I'm not going to try to accuse you of anything. I'm not trying to say you're lying to me, but I find it hard that your brother that you've been running around with, running back and forth and everything else, been texting, been calling, and tell her something happened to Wilma. He did something to Wilma, but he wouldn't tell you, and you're right there. I don't understand that. I really don't.
Leroy's connection wasn't just that he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was that he was tied to both of the people detectives were now circling.
And Daniel helped Lisa take care of things. You know, if it was Lisa, it was Lisa. Either way, Wilma didn't deserve it.
No, she did not deserve it at all.
And we really need to find out the truth here. Either Daniel did it, or because, well, Wilma was scared to death of him. She called her nephew up a few days before saying that he's going to kill me.
So she never said like that to me or something when he was around. There's nothing wrong with that.
Or Lisa finally did something to her, and then he helped Lisa take care of it. Get rid of her. You're brothers. Yeah. Lisa's a bad connection because she used to be your wife, but you guys are still brothers. You guys are blood. I just don't see why he wouldn't have told you.
I would have got towed around if I'd known something like that right there. It's the place.
Well, maybe you just found out when you got up there to Auburn, to the hotel.
And that was another dude. Mom's the one that said something. No, if I'd known that, I'd be just half myself. I tried to prove just to like shit. You know, it's a little bitty one too.
Oh, yeah. She looked like a little kid at first.
She's outside of my living.
Spent the whole day before out in the rain, all night long out in the rain. I just want to make sure we leave here feeling very comfortable that you're not covering up for your brother. So if he would have told you, you'd be telling me right now.
I'd have called you immediately.
Yeah, but you would be telling me right now.
Yeah.
That's when Leroy remembered their mother calling him in a panic over something Daniel had said. At the time, it hadn't meant much, but now it suddenly made sense. But now, detectives needed to hear it from her directly.
Hey, honey.
What are you doing?
Nothing. Waiting on my sister to come get her baby.
Hey, I got 2 detectives with me.
Hi.
I'm Mrs. Slayton. I'm Detective Andy Ellis with the Bluffton Police Department. And with me is Deputy Dietrich of the Paulding County, Ohio Sheriff's Department.
Yes.
We're investigating Wilma's death.
Yes.
We understand that you might know something about that.
Well, Daniel had called me and told me that he made a mess of his life, and I was drilling him. Now, this was Friday.
Okay.
I was drilling him, and he knew where Wilma was. So Detective Young had called, and he just kept thinking she was gone. Now, I didn't understand half of his conversation because whatever phone those people are using up there is muffled when they call my phone.
But he told you she was gone.
Yes.
And that was Friday. Do you know about what time on Friday that was?
Oh, it was probably 1 or so your time.
1 or so in the afternoon or in the morning or?
Afternoon.
Okay. And that's when you called Leroy. That's when you called Leroy then.
I can't hear you. What?
And that's when you called Leroy then.
No, Daniel wanted to talk to Leroy, and he said they weren't answering his phone, so I called him.
Okay.
I didn't know maybe something was wrong if they wouldn't know.
Okay. What were his when you said what were his words to you? You said he made a mess of his life.
Yeah.
Just.
They just told me I love you, Mama. And I told him I love you too. I said, where are you at? Indiana. Well, I knew that, but I didn't know where.
He never told you.
No, he wouldn't tell Mama where he was at. I didn't know him.
Daniel never outright said he killed Wilma, but his mother knew something was wrong. She told detectives she didn't even like Wilma, but she still wasn't going to stand by if she could help get justice. Just as the case was zeroing in on Daniel, he was arrested on a drug charge in Indiana. Wilma had been left out in the open. Her car had been found, and piece by piece, the evidence was closing in on him anyway. But he ended up walking in with the biggest piece of evidence, the murder weapon. The gun Daniel had used to kill Wilma was still on him at the time of his arrest. The bullet and shell casing tied back to it. He refused to speak to the detectives, but with all the evidence and his mother's statement, they didn't need to talk to him. In November 2017, Daniel Zerbe pleaded guilty to Wilma Schwartz's murder and was later sentenced to 15 years to life. Lisa King had faced 2 tampering charges in the case, but in May 2017, those charges were dismissed without prejudice, and she walked away without a conviction.